Local and state news, Mix 104.1 Talk, 101.3 The Buzz. We're on MixTV.tv, and this reminder, we have, of course, Dwayne Williams, Bridget, whatever her name is, out at Scooter's Scooter's Coffee with a live broadcast at Scooter's on Key Street. That's next to Arby's in front of Leisure Time Bowling. We're going to be going back out to them in a moment. Quick check of the news, and we're expected here in about, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 minutes to be joined by the Speaker of the State House of Representatives. Matter of fact, he's right here. Cameron Sexton. We're going to go right to, live here on the air, we're going to go right to the Speaker of the House. Speaker Sexton, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great, and I want to just really dive right in here. 8:04 Eastern Time, 7:04 there in Nashville. Well, Speaker, lots to talk about, but I want to go to something that apparently just happened over the last 12 hours or so, and that maybe late yesterday, where you and Attorney General of the state, Jonathan Skrmetti, are defending new rules banning the public from holding signs in the House gallery and committee rooms. Will you bring us up to date on this, Speaker, please?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. I'll do as much as I can based on an ongoing court case. But the House, we passed our rules package, and so we changed it from last session, which actually has worked really well within the members inside the chamber and committee rooms of continuing to have decorum better than we were doing in April. But we also put what you mentioned into the rules package. It was the same thing when we were looking around, same thing that Congress has. Congress has a policy that says you can't bring signs in their gallery, and they also allow their committee chairman to make the rules if they allow signs in the committee rooms or not. We just incorporated what was in Congress, and I guess some on the other side didn't like what we did, but apparently they didn't know that Congress has the same set of rules.
We're joined by State House Speaker Cameron Sexton live from Nashville this morning. Speaker, so you have, in a filing yesterday, you've asked Chancellor Ann Martin to lift the temporary restraining order currently blocking House officials from enforcing the new rules. Is that correct?
That's correct. The AG did, and I think also in there potentially the AG had mentioned that they weren't even hardly given due process and allowed to defend themselves in the first order. So,
well, Mr. Speaker, Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, we're very grateful for him appearing with us this morning. Speaker Sexton, let's go back and review this week. Obviously, this has been in some ways a big week, in some ways a controversial week, but a lot of raw emotion, obviously. The governor calls the special session. Just tell me about the week as it's been going.
It's been an interesting week. There's a big difference between the House and Senate right now, and we're pushing through on the House side legislation that we think will be beneficial to improve mental health, help individuals get treatment and access, increase funding for mental health for uninsured and teen care participants. Juvenile crime is on our issue, as well as trying to decrease juvenile crime and hold them accountable, as well as fixing some loopholes in the law that would have stopped the Covenant shooter. I will say, though, that the House is the only body that voted down the red flag bill. The Senate refused to even take it up in committee. They refused to even take a vote on it in committee. They just moved it and laid it on the table. But the House was the only one that stood strong and took down the red flag law.
We're joined by Speaker of the State House, Cameron Sexton. Let's talk about the mental health. You and I had a conversation just after the shooting at Covenant School, and at that time you talked to me about mental health and how important that is. You get a little more specific on that. What is your body looking at?
Well, so last night we passed some appropriations that the Senate did not want to consider in theirs when we had conversations. Unfortunately, the Senate doesn't want to do anything at all. They want to do nothing. And so we're not there to do that at the House. We're down there to work. And so we passed various things for mental health. We took $50 million out of the Teen Care Reserve Fund, reallocated it back to mental health facilities and mental health providers who are losing millions of dollars because we don't have parity between mental health and substance abuse in our state, which we have a bill to fix that as well. And so we took some money out of teen care to put back to those teen care providers to make sure that they can continue seeing patients. We've added additional money to the mental health safety net, which is for people who are uninsured. who need mental health. We see them on the streets. We see them in local jails. You talk to law enforcement. Either we can treat the mental health population and give them the tools and the things that they need to overcome it, hopefully, so that they can get back to their families and get back to the workplace, or we can keep them in jail. We don't think jail is the right place, so we think we need to put some more money in. You know, we have a duty to warn statute in our state that broke down during the Covenant shooter, the shooting. The lady was under doctor's care for years. And as you know, with most mass shooters, they talk about it. But as much as she wrote into her journals and manifesto, you know that she shared that. Our statute was unclear. It was not used. That would have given law enforcement the capability to take that person, put them under certain things, and remove their guns from them from a duty to warn if she's wanting to harm herself or society, which she was. But it wasn't used because it wasn't done appropriately. And then we have an emergency involuntary commitment clause in our state where over 1,600 people have been denied access to be committed involuntarily through the court system. 1,600. We want to change that. We want to get the people the help they need, but some people need inpatient. And so we want to continue to focus on outpatient or where they don't go get the outpatient treatment. And so we want to fix that. Our state is in a mental health crisis right now. We see it in the adult population, and everybody sees it in the youth population due to COVID. And it's very unfortunate that you have a few senators who are holding the Senate and not allowing them to do anything at all, unfortunately.
We're joined by the Speaker of the State House, Cameron Sexton. Mr. Speaker, I know that the House has heard some very emotional testimony coming from the Covenant families. What's your thoughts on the testimony that the House has heard this week?
It has been very emotional, and there's things that we can agree on with the Covenant parents, and there's things that we passed last night on the House floor. There's things that we don't agree on with them, which was the enhanced orders of protection. We're not allowing that to limit our ability to pass common sense things that will help. The families are trying to describe what they're dealing with. And let's just think about if this would have happened in K through 12 public school somewhere in the state. At Covenant, those parents, a lot of them, have resources to have their kids to overcome that trauma. We talk about the individual kids that did die in that shooting, but there's also those kids there who are traumatized, who need counseling, who need help. Those parents, for the most part, have the resources to do that. If that was in another school, based on how we have mental health in our state and the crisis we're in, we could not have the resources to help those individuals because we're 800 mental health providers short, counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists. We're 800 short today of what we need to help these families and to help these children and to help these adults. We have legislation that would fix that would help that would move it forward. And so listening to the testimony and understanding where we are, what the crisis is, and what we need to do, and then have a few senators who say, we're not doing anything, we're doing nothing, we don't think there's anything that's important enough or urgent enough to do now, everything can wait till next year, it's just the wrong direction to go.
Speaker of the State of Tennessee House, Cameron Sexton, final question, Mr. Speaker, and that is, so now the special session has been pushed into next week. The legislature will reconvene on Monday. I guess, what are your expectations? And then, is there any hope of any type of common ground or middle ground with the state Senate?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we're going to continue to push forward. I mean, we talked all about mental health, but we have a lot of juvenile crime bills. We have a bill where if a juvenile is committed when they turn the age of 19, their record is no longer expunged. The law enforcement can see that record, which is important. They can't go purchase a gun. We have a juvenile crime bill that holds juveniles accountable for violent crime and for gun crimes. We hold those people accountable. We make it to where they go to adult prison at 19 if they don't meet certain conditions like attain a job, get a high school diploma, make good grades. But we have chairmen in the Senate who refuse to hear any judicial bill at all, refuse to do it. And so you have, unfortunately, a situation where a few senators are holding all those other senators who want to do something into the status of a do-nothing Senate. It's unfortunate. We're going to go back on Monday. We're going to pass our bills. Hopefully they'll come back with a different mindset on Monday, but if they don't, We're going to pass the bills, and we can talk about what we've done. If anything else happens in the state, it's on those senators who are in control of those committees.
Speaker of the State of Tennessee House of Representatives, Cameron Sexton. Speaker Sexton, I appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right.